I'm Kirsty Schofield. I'm the Commander of Organised Crime for the AFP. Today I want to talk to you about a complex joint investigation, codenamed Operation Ajana, and it led to the seizure of 645 kilograms of MDMA and the arrest of 2 people here in Sydney and Brisbane. The joint investigation commenced in July this year, and we were provided information from the Cyprus Drug Unit. This information told us that there was a consignment of cargo coming to Australia from Cyprus, and there was suspected to have drugs inside that consignment. We provided that information to the Australian Border Force, who were able to identify the consignment and interdict it. I'm now going to hand over to my ABF colleague, who will talk to you about the concealment method.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Danielle Yiannopoulos, the Regional Commander for the Australian Border Force here in New South Wales. On the 17th of July this year, we had a shipment of 200 barbecues that came through from Cyprus that arrived into Australia. We took them to our examination facility. We x-rayed them. We found that they had false plate bottoms in them. They were vacuum packed and layered with carbon paper and plastic sheeting. So together with the information that we got from our international partners, our sophisticated x-rays, we used our detector dogs, our trace detection equipment, and of course our fantastic Border Force officer skills to identify this 645 kilos of MDMA that came across the border. Australians consume around 15 tonnes of illicit drugs every year, and 645 kilos, this detection has made a dent in the market for sure. At the ABF, we've seen it all. We've seen it hidden in highlighters, hot chilli sauce. We've even found it in a excavator and a bunch of cow hides. So not much surprises us these days. So we know that these substances have harmful impacts to individuals and families. But we also importantly understand the complexity and the sophistication of transnational serious organised crime. And it's exactly why law enforcement agencies are banding together across domestic and international partnerships to fight this war on drugs. And this is just one example of how successful we've been. So I'll hand back to Kirsty.
The consignment arrived here on the 17th of July, and we did some forensics analysis, and the consignment was in barbecues. Now, when we had a look at the consignment, there was 645 kilograms of MDMA. The investigators removed the MDMA and substituted it with an inert substance, and we commenced a controlled delivery of that consignment. The consignment was delivered to a warehouse in Matraville, where it sat for about 3 months. And then following that in late October, the barbecues were transferred to another warehouse at Smeaton Grange. In addition to working with the authorities in Cyprus, the AFP commenced engagement with our partners in the United Kingdom, and in the United Kingdom, we had identified persons of interest and businesses of interest to this investigation. So the investigation expanded greatly. Yesterday, we went to some resolution for this matter, and we had simultaneous search warrants conducted here in Australia, the UK and Cyprus. This was all part of a joint international effort to obtain evidence to identify additional people responsible for this syndicate, in addition to what we've already done here in Sydney. We will allege in court today that a 30-year-old man from Coomera, Queensland, travelled to Sydney in late October to remove the MDMA from the barbecues and prepare it for further distribution. He was arrested last night in an apartment he was renting in Bondi Junction and will face Sydney Central Local Court today. AFP members also arrested a 33-year-old Canadian man in Brisbane last night. He arrived in Australia last Tuesday and travelled to the warehouse at Smeaton Grange to inspect the barbecues. We will allege in court he was sent by the syndicate responsible for the MDMA to check on aspects of the importation. Both men face significant jail sentences if convicted on the charges they now face. In Sydney, search warrants were executed at Bondi Junction, Surrey Hills, Canley Heights and Tarmore last night, and at Smeaton Grange this morning. And a search warrant was also conducted in Brisbane. We seized approximately $100,000 in cash from the Bondi Junction apartment used by the Coomera man, and approximately $200,000 in cash and 3.5 kilos of cocaine were seized from a residence at Canley Heights, and charges are pending in relation to that aspect of the matter. Just to put some perspective, the amount of MDMA that we seized, it's not the biggest in Australia's history, but it's certainly one of the most significant ones we've had here in the last 3 years in New South Wales. It would equate to 2.2 million pills, which is $61 million if it's broken down and sold at that level. So it's very significant. So we're just very pleased with the efforts of what we've done. The investigation is ongoing. We are expecting more arrests coming up, and we will continue to work with our international partners and our domestic partners here to keep this good work.